Well, I got another video review for you. So this here is a electric hot knife, fabric and rope cutter. And so this is from a company by the name of Anbull. Seen this on Amazon. I've been wanting one of these for a while just simply because I know it's going to be a useful tool for cutting like rope and paracord, and let's say you do any kind of wiring like car audio stuff where you've got the wrap that fits over the wires and stuff. It's called Tech Flex. When you go to cut it, you know, it frays real bad. And anyways, that's why I wanted a hot knife, so it just severs that in and you know, keeps ropes and fabrics and stuff like that from fraying. You got a manual, a little hex key right in here, looks like a brass wire brush. Then you've got your hot knife, and then the rest of it's just a run-of-the-mill case. It's nothing real fancy, but it does hold everything in one place. And the first thing that I noticed is it's got a really long cord on it, and so this thing is 9 foot long. And I said that it come with a hex key here, and what you use this for is for loosening the 4 bolts that fit into the housing. This is the cutting blade, slides right in to the end right there, just like that. And then once you get it slid in there, then you can go back and tighten all 4 of these bolts up just like this. Or if you're cutting fabric or something where you might need a guide, then you can slide this piece in below that and tighten that bolt up. And so that way, if you're cutting fabric, it can kind of help guide you along so you're making more of a straight cut. First thing that I noticed is you know, it's got a variable temperature control right in here. And I was looking at some of the reviews on Amazon, and man, this thing looks like it gets really hot. I mean, thing's rated at 100 watts. Now, as far as, you know, having a place to set this, you know, and, you know, not burning a hole through the plastic table, I've got a silicone mat here for high temperature solder and stuff like that. I don't know if it's going to be sufficient enough. I'm going to try not to lay the blade directly on the table. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and tighten the cutting blade up on there and get it plugged in and get to cutting and using this thing and just see how good it works. Now, if you do have some sort of stand, you know, if you're working at a workbench, let's say you got like a pegboard in front of you or something, you've got a spot right here with a hook on it where you could hang this up, so you know you're not risk burning your table, because people said that they were using this thing on wood, and when you were cutting through on wood, it would actually catch the wood on fire. It got so hot. So, you know, that's just something we're gonna have to play around with and see just how hot this thing does get. And the little tool here, it's a, you know, a pretty well-made tool. Surprisingly, I figured it'd just be ultra cheap. It seems to fit in there nice and tight. And then your guide, I'm just gonna set it aside. And, you know, I was reading in the manual, it said you could cut canvas and webbing and stuff, and so I found this strap here. This is very similar to, you know, like a webbing, and I'm gonna just try to make some different cuts and styrofoam and, you know, ropes and t-shirts and, you know, just whatever I can find and really put this thing to the test, instead of just saying, hey, this is a great product, it works great, and, you know nothing about it. This is a product I'm interested in for myself, and so that's why I wanted it, so I could see if it worked good. And because, you know, I'm going to use it. I'm going to put it to use. And so if it doesn't work good, I'll let you know. Now, one thing that I do want to make mention of, if you're looking at the tool itself here, you can see this side here is thicker. It bulges out right here more than on this side. It's more flat. And the reason they do that is so if you do set it down, you've got a good inch of clearance right there between the cutting blade and, you know, whatever you're setting this on. This tool operates off of standard household power, 110 volts. It's got a trigger here. It does have a light here on the side of it, so when you plug it in, it should light up. And so I'm gonna quit rambling. I'm gonna set this aside, and we're gonna go ahead and get some power flowing to this thing, get it hot. So I went ahead and plugged it into the power, and I just wanted to say, whenever you plug it into the power, the light does not come on right away. You have to squeeze the trigger for the light to come on, and then you'll notice that it starts heating up down here on the blade. Now, you will control the temperature by this little variable toggle wheel right there. You know, it just moves back and forth, and there's really no numbers on it. You just kind of have to play around with it and get it to the right setting. So I just went ahead and depressed the trigger there, and it don't take but a second for this thing to start glowing red hot. There it goes. So I'm gonna try it and see on this paracord. Now this stuff here is paracord that has like a fire starter in it, so we have not tried cutting it yet, but we're gonna see if it you know, if it works. And let's see here. Yeah, it cut through it and it sealed it up. It cauterized it, and you know, it's not going to fray on you. You know, you can see right there, it seemed like it cut it pretty good. Now, it would have worked probably better if I'd have had somebody pulling it tight on the other side, or if I had one of those, you know, has the pinchers where you can hold it right here and hold it right here, and then you cut in the middle. Then yeah, that would have probably worked out a little bit better for me. Let's try it again, and we're going to start from the very beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the trigger. Let's see how fast this thing heats up. In fact, I'm going to turn the power up just a little higher this time, and I'm going to try to hold it closer to the end so it don't bend as much. Yeah, you can see it cut right through it. And as soon as I let go of the trigger, you can see that it just cools right off. So yeah, it cuts paracord great. So let's move on to something else. All right, so I went ahead and turned the temperature all the way up, and I've got a piece of rope here. This is just some stuff I'd gotten at Tractor Supply. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can cut through this. Wow, man, it cut right through there like it was butter. Look at that, and no fraying. You know, if you cut this with a pair of scissors, that would be frayed all over the freaking place, and you'd have a mess on your hands and you have to burn it. I'm gonna squeeze the trigger again, and I'm gonna try to cut through it one more time. Wow, that is unreal. Now, I will say it stinks to high heaven, so do this in a well-ventilated place, and I'm probably getting cancer from the smell of this burning rope. So if you would take a second, please like and subscribe to the channel. I've already had cancer one time and I don't need it again. So anyways, yeah, if you're needing something to cut through rope and don't have to worry about the fraying, this is the tool, guys. All right, so up next, we have what they call Tech Flex. This is just a cheap Chinese brand that I use from Amazon, but it works just as good as the Tech Flex brand that you could pay a lot more money for. This stuff is from Kiko, and I use this on my 1-aught power wires for my car audio stuff, and it works great. Put a link for it down in the description just because it works so good if you guys are interested. This stuff really does go good on like my new Concepts power wire and ground wire and stuff. And so whenever you cut it, you can see that it just frays really bad. I mean, horribly bad. You can see, I mean, look at that, guys. And talk about frustrating. You know, if you cut that with a pair of scissors, you can try to melt it, but even if you melt it with a cigarette lighter, it still tends to want to fray. So, you know, that's the reason why I wanted a hot knife, is just for this very product here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, get it warm, and we're going to see if it'll cut through it, which I have no doubts. I'm going to cut it about right in here. Look at that. And it just, you know, seals it right off. That is amazing. I mean, literally. Now, also one thing I told you guys I was going to try to use, and that's this silicone mat. This little mat come with a soldering iron that I had, and it seems to work good. So the silicone mat seems to protect the plastic table, and you know, it doesn't seem like it's going to burn through or anything. But I just wanted to show you right here on this Tech Flex. Look at that. Look how spread apart that is. And if you didn't seal that off, you're going to have all these little strands going every which way. For the next demonstration, we're going to be using some Styrofoam. This is about probably 3/4 of an inch thick. And we're going to try to cut and see if it catches it on fire. Nope, it actually did pretty good. It cut a nice chunk right out there. Let's try it again. You can see right there. I'll try it from this angle so you guys can see a little bit better. That's really cool. And that's fun. I'm not gonna lie, that is just very fun to use. I mean, it does such a great job. Look at that. I mean, if you're packaging something, let's say you're an eBayer or something like that, and you want to package something really precise, and you wanted to cut the foam, you know, to fit the product or something like that, that would be awesome for that. Or if you're, you know, just, I can think of 1,000 things I could use that for. All right, so next we've got this webbing material. It's like some sort of strapping or belt, and we're just going to see if it'll cut through it. I've got it sandwiched in between the tables so I can get some tension on it. But Wow. Man, it just cut right through that, and there's no frays at all. And I've noticed that, you know, as far as the temperature control, I've been leaving it at just full blast and controlling the temperature with the trigger, because like I said, it only turns on when you squeeze the trigger. So if it's too hot, then just let go of the trigger. You know, like I said, I've been using it at full temperature, and it hadn't got too hot. You know, I know some people said on Amazon, I think I read one listing that it got too hot and you had to control it with the temperature, but I haven't really had that to be the case. I mean, you can see right here, I've just now mashed it again. I'm gonna let it warm up, and we're gonna cut through this strapping again. I'm just gonna show you how good it cuts. You can see right there. That is unreal, guys. That is unreal. I mean, I guess if you was to just sit here and hold the trigger and keep it red hot to where it's just super hot, then yeah, I could see, you know, turning it down right here, but I'm just controlling it with the trigger, and it's cut fine. You've seen how well it's cut, and yeah, that's pretty neat. So now I'm gonna put the little guide on here. I'm gonna let it cool down a few minutes, and we're gonna cut some fabric with it and just see, you know, how good it does on like a cotton t-shirt that I have here. So stay tuned. So we went ahead and put the little guide arm across the bottom there. We really didn't even have to wait for it to cool off, because you just loosen that bolt and slide it in there. It's slotted, so you don't have to take anything off. Now I've got just a cotton t-shirt here, and I'm gonna try to hold this with my leg and my belly. That's the advantages of being fat. Got an extra set of hands right here with the belly and the leg to grip this t-shirt. No problem. Look at that. My goodness, that's freaking awesome. I mean, it cut through that t-shirt like butter. I mean, literally. So it said you could cut through canvas. I'm sure you could easily cut through blue jeans and stuff. How many times have you had a pair of blue jeans and you cut them with a pair of scissors? You could just use this, and I'm sure it would cut down on the fraying. Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, it cut cleanly right through that t-shirt. So, well, I gotta say, I'm very impressed. You know, this thing has managed to cut through everything that I've put it through, and I think this thing cost about $80 something, almost $90. So, you know, if you need some way to cut rope, styrofoam, you know, nylon webbing, canvas, blue jeans, t-shirts, this is definitely the way to go, and it cuts through it nice and clean. I didn't really notice anything on the plastic getting hot. You know, sometimes you get cheap tools or something, it might get hot there on the housing. I didn't even notice that at all. Now, even down here, it starts to get a little bit warm towards the end, but it's not hot, you know. I know sometimes, you know, like I said, if you buy a cheap tool or something, it can get real hot. This is nowhere near dangerous. It's just lukewarm. But back in here, it's not even warm at all. This here is the Anbull electric hot knife. I'll put a link for it down below in the description. Appreciate you guys watching. I know this wasn't a very exciting review, but you know, I'm a tool fanatic, and this is just one more good tool to have in your arsenal. And so thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya.